Buen dia, chicos. Welcome back. Today's video is going to be all about why I stopped drinking originally. I know I've touched on little bits beforehand, but I've never gone into the reasons behind why I actually stopped drinking. And it's full of, there's car crashes, there's abuse, there's people getting beaten up, there's shit going wrong, there's police fucking encounters, there's all this dumb shit that, to be honest, people probably have every time they fucking go on a Saturday night out or a Friday night out. But for me, it was just getting too much. So I'm just going to delve into that, what happened, why it happened. And obviously I'm not going to disclose any names, but there are a lot of people that were close to me / still are close to me who are involved in these stories. So I'm not going to name names, but like, just so you know, like, I'm just going to keep it 100 and talk about what happened, why it happened, and where it's going from there. Obviously it's been a while, so not all of it's going to be crystal clear, but I remember really the first time I stopped drinking was because I wanted to move to Bali the first time. I wanted to come here, I wanted to save some money. I was hanging around, I was actually doing door-to-door lead generation, so I was doing door knocking, and the people I was working with were like super high performers, like way better than me at the job, but I would consider myself, a little bit more consistent in terms of emotional maturity and just mindset. The people I was working with were basically functioning alcoholics, and if you know any functioning alcoholics, you know that they're always really good at sales. Like, one of my uncles is basically a functioning alcoholic, and he is like the GOAT of sales. So you either get a couple types of salespeople, to be honest. You do get that old school, highly functioning, always on the beers, always on the bag, always smoking ciggies, ADHD ridden salesperson, or you get your sort of normal salesperson who has to work a bit harder, hasn't got as much energy, and they have to put on more of an act and more of a show. Anyway, going back to the door knocking, so people I was working with were super high performers. They helped me make loads of money, we helped each other make lots of money, we built a team, we did a really good thing. But what was happening is, like, especially when we drive to these small locations in the middle of England and we'd go there, we'd infiltrate the place, we'd knock on all the doors, we'd make deals, we'd fucking set up loads of appointments, and then we'd drive home. We'd always end up driving home, and like, I started driving myself because the first like couple of months I wouldn't bother, because we were just, there was like 4 or 5 of us, so we just all went into one car. But the main driver was always drinking. I was always drinking, driving home. Like, I'm talking like multiple beers, ciggies, on the phone while driving. And if anyone knows, well, if anyone's been in a car crash or been in a car going fast, when you've got an erratic driver who's on the phone smoking a ciggy with a beer in the side, you don't feel safe. Like, it's a very uncomfortable situation to be put in, especially for someone like me. I'm not a control freak, but I definitely like to be in control of stuff because I know that I can handle it, and I know that, put me in that scenario when I'm driving 120 and I've got this stuff going on, I know I can count on myself that nothing's going to happen. I know it sounds stupid, but like, that's just how I see it. Not that I would do it, especially with other people in the car, and some of them were like, had family ties and stuff, and it got all a bit not messy, but it was all a bit gnarly, to be honest. And that was one of the reasons, because I was in this environment that I was putting myself in on a daily basis, and I was like, I know this is wrong, I know this shouldn't be how I operate. And then from that, I'm not going to go too deep into this, but like, just saw a lot of bullshit, a lot of poor attitudes, the way that people would talk to each other, talk to random bystanders, talk to their woman, talk to their family, and I was like, holy shit. I was like, I'm putting myself in this position just to make money, which, make good money. So for the short term, it was sound, and that's why I stopped drinking, because then I could at least distance myself from that. I then started taking my own car. I was like, you know what, I'm just going to take my own whip. I'm not going to put myself in that position. I'm just going to drive. And I even still did some dumb shit. Used to race, do a couple hour races in the cars up to these places, and like, the person I was racing is not a chump. So what I'm trying to get at is like, when you put yourself in that position where you're around people that are drinking a lot, more risks get taken. And for me, being a risk taker already, it just heightened those risks. And I was like, okay, cool, sooner or later something's bad's going to happen. And then moving on forward from that, there was more things. Like, I was in a relationship with a girl, and to be honest, I wasn't like acting very much like a man. I stopped eating meat, I wasn't hitting the gym, I stopped drinking, I was smoking. Like, I was kind of just doing all the things that I don't think a man should do. Obviously, I didn't know that at the time, and it's good to try anything once. But like, the trifecta of no gym, no gym, can't remember what the other ones were, crumbs, I'm losing my marbles. But basically, I just didn't have any real, no gym, no eating meat, and just no real like lust for life, just making it through. Even though I was making good cash, I was literally just like not fulfilling my role as a human or as a boyfriend or as a man. Like, no sex drive, no fucking hunger, poor communication skills, bottling stuff up and just being a bit of a fucking beta male. But if you see some of these alphas online, fair enough. If they've always been an alpha and they've never not been, and they've always had this like big male role model, or they haven't had this big male role model but they've just managed to fucking, rip the head off of everything at all points, then fair enough, tip my hat to you, salute, whatever it is. Because that wasn't my journey. My journey was, my dad always said, well, stepdad, I'd consider him my dad, but he always said, try anything once, apart from incest, which I think is jokes. But I don't know if that's like stuck in my head too much, because now I'm like, try anything once. If I don't want to eat meat and I want to go vegan, I'll try that. If I'll try not hitting the gym and just working and just walking. If I'll just, really change my whole lifestyle up, like, I might as well try it. Because the same with any good business, with any good landing page, with any good offer, with anything, you need to test. You need to run split tests. You need to see what works well and what doesn't. And that was my split test. And I know I need meat. I know I need the gym. I know that I need these things to build my testosterone, to build my confidence, to build my masculinity. So then I have a high sex drive. So then I want to fucking go grab life by the balls and fucking rip its head off. So that was another thing that I noticed. It was another pattern that I was like, okay, my actual fucking being has been reduced. And that wasn't really due to the drinking. That was just something that happened at the same time. Another thing, it's not as deep as the other bits, but I was talking a lot. I was always saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to fucking accomplish this, I'm starting this business, I'm doing this, let's do this. When you're sat in a kitchen or someone's fucking house, you're doing little bumps of care and you're like, let's start a business. And you make a full little business plan and then nothing comes of it, ever. Obviously, I think they're actually quite good conversation to have in hindsight, because at least you're thinking about it, and you have that mindset, and you want that from your life. And it's always good to have those conversations, but having those conversations in person is infinitely better than just having them when you're fucked up, basically. Okay, let's get back to the main meat of the story. I saw a lot of shit. I saw people's like parents having fights because of alcohol. I saw people, being kicked out because of alcohol. I was in a car crash at a cross junction because of the driver was drinking, but all of us in the car were drinking. Literally, we're going up, if you know Bournemouth Cemetery Junction, we're going along, everything's fine and well. Red light, didn't see it, go straight through it, bam! We got T-boned. It was on the side that I was in. Luckily, the car hit the wheel and it didn't hit me, because a foot more and it would have hit the door, and it might not have done anything, but the door would have at least gone into me pretty solidly, whereas a wheel took the brunt of it. That was a big trigger for me. Another thing, my friend ended up basically almost going to jail for like GBH and beat up some random guy. And yeah, there's a few more bits I don't want to delve into with that, but it gets deeper, and it's not something that I'm proud to say I was associated with, because it was a kind of a hectic time in my life when I wasn't really taking responsibility as much for what was going on, and I had a lot of people around me that weren't necessarily bad people, but like, we're on a different journey, and I needed to remove myself earlier. But lots of abuse, people getting beaten up, whether it's spouses, whether it's mums and dads, whether it's dogs, like pets and shit, and whether it's randoms getting into random altercations over nothing, getting into crashes with police people. Like, I'm seeing all this shit, and I'm like, how long until I'm I'm like the main character of this story. Like, these other people are the main characters and I'm just a side quest part of it, and I'm seeing all of this unfold, and I'm like, the common denominator one is me. I'm always in these scenarios apparently, and there's too many going on. There was a few in a few months, and I was like, holy fuck, I feel like a direct contributor to all of this. And the second common denominator was alcohol. There was the same thing that was happening. It was always the catalyst to these scenarios, and when push comes to shove, I was like, well, I have to take responsibility for all of this. If someone's done this, I should have either stopped it, or I should have stepped in earlier, or I shouldn't have influenced someone to do this, or I shouldn't have offered them that, or I shouldn't have been there. That's the main thing. I shouldn't have been there. I don't give a fuck what happens with these people, to be honest, if I'm not there. Obviously, I might care a little bit if they're really close to me, but when it comes down to it, I shouldn't have been there. I shouldn't have been in that space. I shouldn't have been doing it. So, I know I'm rambling on a little bit, but I don't want to bait out everyone who's in my life, because I still like them and still talk to them, still part of my life. But as a whole, there was a lot of unexcusable bullshit that went down, that when I look back at it, I'm upset that I was a part of it, and embarrassed that I was even allowing any of that shit to happen. So then, yeah, I stopped drinking, and it was all good. It was kind of tough to start with, but I hit a financial goal, saved 10 grand. I want to save 10 grand and then move to Bali. So that's what I did. Boom. Then I came to Bali, started drinking again, and I was here for 6 months and then went back to England. There wasn't too many things that happened in Bali that were gnarly, but there were a few things. I would get in a couple fights. I'd be drinking every day. I remember I went to this club, Shishi, and I got in a fight. Luckily, the guy I got in a fight with had grabbed the chick by the neck, and I was like, I'm not having this. So I fucking went up to him. He headbutted me, so I fucking floored him. But the bouncers threw him out. They gave us a bottle. I got rewarded for my act of violence, which isn't ideal, but as a whole, I was doing a good deed in a bad scenario. It's not one that I'm particularly proud of, but it's part of the story. The main one is I used to drive a moped around like a nutcase. When it was raining, especially, would be the worst. And I think I fell off 3 times on the bike, and I got robbed twice. They can be different stories for another days, but I'd race people home, and we'd go different ways. I'd fall off. One day I fell off because it was raining. I slid to the side. Luckily, I never really got injured at all. I'd always land on my feet. One time there were a couple of people, they grabbed my fanny pack, they grabbed my chain, boom, they ran off. Luckily, I grabbed the fanny pack and it was only the chain that went. That's why I bought this one afterwards. But still, I'm like, okay, cool. That's 2 or 3 of my lives that I've, been testing. I've been, I'm not a cat, but I feel like a lot of these scenarios could have gone a lot worse than they did. Especially when you see videos on online of people who have crashes in Asia, in Indonesia, and they're basically instantly flattened, their heads fucking taken off, they're just dead as a dodo, and their ID are on the floor covered in blood. And you're like, I don't want to be that guy where people are saying, oh yeah, well, he had so much going for him, and if only he'd just knuckled down. And I don't want some Indonesian police officer or hospital worker to call my parents or call my friends and tell me that fucking Connor fell off his bike because he was drunk racing and fucking is dead. So these are more things that are just stacking up. Obviously at the time I'm drinking a lot and having a good time. I don't really care. But then I met a couple of people who were not drinking. My friend Ed Cunningham, at the time he had a decent size book podcast, and he wasn't drinking, and that really flipped the switch. I was like, this guy's not drinking. I'm like, I don't not like it when people are better than me, but I feel like I know I'm in that league, and I'm not playing in that league at the moment. I'm playing in a lower league because I think it makes me feel better about myself, whereas I should be playing in a higher league at a lower standard and building up. So what I found is just that it was a good eye-opener for me, because I was just like, what am I doing? So when I got home, again, stopped drinking. Can't remember if there's any more scenarios where I was either in danger or put myself in peril. There was another time when I was in Mexico, actually. So I came back to England, then I saved money again, and then I went to Mexico. Saved 15 grand this time, I believe, and went to Mexico. Went to go work in an Airbnb business and work for my aunt. And then after doing that, after a while, I can't remember why, but I just stopped. not drinking. I just had a little loose one, started drinking, ended up going on this big yacht party, ended up sleeping with this girl, and then apparently she got pregnant. From what I can tell, it was obviously a hoax. It was to get money from me, but at the time I was like, this is like the worst thing that I am doing. I'm doing ridiculously dumb stuff. There's only two things I'm really like not ready for. One of them is jail. I don't want to go to jail. And the other one is having a kid with some random person that I've just slept with. Like, those are the two things I think. I'm like, what am I doing with my life if that's how I get here? I'm like, I've got more in the tank than to be doing this sort of stuff. I've got more to give and more to talk about and more to fucking help people with than doing this dumb shit. So that happened. That was a bit of an anxiety ridden fucking time. Then went on like a 36-hour coke bender, then got depressed as fuck. What I noticed is I was getting like depressed afterwards because of my sort of addictive-ish personality. Like, once I'm on and I don't stop. Like, I can go for a while, and I just like consuming. I'm a good consumer of food, drinks, smokes, gear, like all this stuff. I'm good at just taking more and more in. I never really get too fucked up, but I just black out after a while. And then that was happening. So really, there was just a lot of bad things happening in my life. I don't like being depressed because one, it's self-inflicted. Two, it's only you who can get out of it. And three, it's bad energy for other people. I don't want other people to be around. And even now, like, I have some days where I'm like, yeah, I'm not feeling fucking pucker all the time, and I'm not fucking happy-go-lucky as much as I used to be when I was younger. But I know why that is, and that's what I'm actively trying to move away from. But the simple thing is, like, a lot of the time, when you're doing all the things that you think you should be doing, the steps you can take to become a better person and reach that higher level, you'll be fine. It's just when you're not doing the right things, like not going to the gym, not earning money, not doing self-education, you know, not looking after yourself, not looking after your space, not saying no to things. So yeah, that was another trigger for me. So that's pretty much it as a whole. There was just a lot of bullshit that would either land other people in trouble or myself in trouble, and sooner or later it was going to be me who was driving the car that crashed when we were driving. Like, for me, if I was to drink drive, kill someone, whether it's someone I didn't know or a friend, I was like, that's the ultimate waste of my life. Obviously there's way you can come back from that, and loads of people do, but I'm like, I could forgive myself for that, I'm sure, but like, you can't ever really forgive yourself if you've been in a car, you've got mates in the car, you crash the car because you're drunk, or you hit someone else and then you kill someone else. Like, that's just that's something I don't want to ever need to deal with or have to deal with. Like, because it's my fault at the end of the day. If you're driving a car and someone jumps out in front of you, that's not your fault. You can get over that. But like, if you're drunk, you've already broken the law, you've already done something you know you shouldn't do. It's doing stuff you know you shouldn't do, but you still do it. That I hate, is because you're like, what the fuck am I doing in my life? Where am I going? This isn't a dress rehearsal. I haven't got another go at this shit. There's enough people fucking up their lives. There's enough people who would, you know, kill to have the life that I've got. So I'm like, why? There's a big Conor McGregor bit, and it's not like the most relevant, but it's like, your lack of commitment is disrespectful to the people that believe in you. And I feel like that's a great quote just in life. It's like, your lack of just fucking gumption, your lack of fucking work ethic, your lack of training hard, your lack of everything is a insult to the people who believe in you. Maybe you don't have that many people who believe in you, but like, I know I've got a good family, I know I've got good friends, I know I've got good people around me that do think highly of me and do want me to win, and I'm like, what am I doing? I should be doing the most at all times to make sure that I win, so I can, you know, not only prove them right, but like help them and help other people and make sure that I can fucking provide in the future. Because doing that bum shit, like just fucking getting blackout drunk 6, 7, well, anything up to 7 times a week is what I was doing for a long time. And it wasn't like fully alky vibes, but it was like I was living and working in a ski resort, in a bar. I'm drinking every day. I'm doing seasons as a young kid. Everyone's partying 3-4 nights a week. I'm partying 3-4 nights a week. You know, I moved to Mexico. The drinking and drug culture is high. I'm doing it a lot. Like, You know, you put yourself in these positions where everyone's doing it and it's so much easier to do it. This is why now I feel great, because I can go somewhere like Bali where everyone's hitting ket, everyone's drinking, everyone's doing it, and I'm just like, cool, I don't need it anymore. I'm not around it. Even though I am in it, I'm like, I actually know that my path that I'm on is better off without it. Because I don't like being up at 9 a.m. looking for more bags and looking for more drinks because I'm a fucking reprobate. Okay, I think that's probably enough for now, but like, you get the picture. If you've ever been in some scenarios where you're just doing the same shit over and over again, and like the scenarios that you find yourself in are getting progressively worse and worse, and sooner or later something has to give. You know, you put enough fucking pressure in a bottle, sooner or later it's going to burst. And that's the same with you in your life. If you're putting yourself in these scenarios where you're in someone's car that's drink driving, next thing you know, you're drink driving, or you're going to be the one that dies in the crash, or you're going to end up having a bad trip because you do too much coke and too much ket, and then you end up doing a bit of meth and you fucking beat someone up, they hit the head in the curb, they die. Whatever it is, there's so many bad ways to go. Like, why don't you just get rid of the primary problem? There's two primary problems. It was me and the alcohol. And I'm not going to get rid of me because I'm me. So I get rid of the alcohol, and then you're infinitely better. Obviously, you can't just click and run it. You probably can, but I couldn't. But from what I've seen now, I'm like, so many people don't drink that are around me, and I know that I'm having a positive impact on them. So that's always a good wake-up call and a benefit as well. But yeah, they're the reasons I stopped drinking. And also, one of the other main reasons is just having people around me that didn't drink, and I was like, you guys are dons. I was like, you guys are doing bits, you guys are loving your life, and you're having a great time. So yeah, I was just trying to follow that. But subscribe to the channel. Most of you haven't subscribed yet. Comment, post, message me on Insta if you want anything. Like I said, I'm going to be setting up a little WhatsApp thing, and then we can go in, whether it's sales, whether it's sobriety. I like to mix the two. We can go from there. But yeah, just another video about why I stopped drinking alcohol. Much love. Bye for now. Ciao.